community. So in other words, we are saying, if you are working with any organization that supports any other, group of people living with autism, we will be happy to hear from you. There is room for collaboration and there's room for, growth. So if you want to cover some other group of people that are not included in this discussion, it would be nice to hear from you. But then we are also looking at it, that this is a hub where everybody can learn. Because let's assume your child on the spectrum is a girl or is a boy. You still have other people on the spectrum that is around you who are probably girls. And this has become really important because girls on the spectrum do have their peculiar challenges. They do have their own peculiar challenges that makes it really important that we get to discuss this. We get to let people know. We get to lessen the burden, because even you and I know that raising a girl child, especially around the teenage years, around the time of puberty and all of that, it can also be a little bit of a challenge. You agree with me? But the more important thing is that in addition to this, these young people are also on the autism spectrum. Um, yeah, I hear you. I hear you asking to be invited. Okay, we are still, setting things up as it is. But yeah, it would be nice to invite. Sorry, this is not a gaming session. If I do not invite you in, bear with me. It's not personal. Not invite you. Hello. So tonight we keep sharing experiences with parents who have young people on the spectrum. We keep sharing our experiences and we encourage other members of the society who might have found themselves in this situation to also um, get to join us as much as possible. Because the more we share it, the more awareness people get, and the more it becomes less of a mystery, because we've come to understand that it is what you do not understand that baffles you. So many times when parents find themselves being, let me say, being stigmatized or made to feel inadequate, most of it stems from the fact that the person is not aware. It's lack of awareness. So if you're right here on TikTok, on YouTube, please reach out to those you think that might benefit from this. So today, the previous times we have talked about so many things, but there is still this aspect of siblings. There is still this very aspect of siblings. where we have understood that siblings do suffer tremendously due to the mere fact that the younger one or older one is on the autism spectrum. Why is it so? Does it have to be so? It doesn't have to be so, actually, but unfortunately, it is so. And then we talked about what this can mean for them in terms of their mental health. We all know how at some point in our lives, the world seems to be revolving around us. You see yourself feeling like everyone is looking at you, or everyone is just aware of you. I mean, you are very much aware of yourself, of your environment. There's this heightened self-awareness where you feel like everybody's looking at me. And can you imagine at that age if you were out in the church, in school, or in a public space, and your younger person is the center of attraction for the negative things? I believe this is the part we don't get to talk about enough, because we as parents, we are so fixated on how to get these children to behave better, to provide their needs, to adapt to the environment, that on a lot of occasions we forget that the siblings are also going through a lot. So there has been lots of researches that has shown that these children actually get depression, anxiety. Imagine if you are leaving the house and then the siblings is like, I don't want to go. I don't want to follow you. Personally, if all that we had started discussing this, I wouldn't have imagined that it's because of what might happen when we are outside. Yes. They can do that because of what might happen when they are outside, not necessarily because of what they have to, just because they don't want to go out. Yes, sometimes children may not want to go out. Teenagers especially may not want to go out with the whole family. But believe me, a lot of times it is because they are not comfortable, you know, because of how their sibling may behave outside, how it may affect their images, how it may affect how people perceive them. You know, it can be a whole lot more than not just wanting to go out. Have you stood back and considered it? Those are the kind of things we try to tackle here. And if you understand these things, it might not just be more easier for you and your child on the spectrum, or sibling or neighbors or whoever is on the spectrum that is around you, but it will be easier as a parent to put yourself in the shoe of this other sibling who is most likely neurotypical. Hello. Okay, I can't hear you. You were trying to say something, but I can't hear you. So, but what I would say, if you can write it. You can write it down. You can write it down if you can. Yeah. Okay. So, going back to what we were saying, these are things we have discussed on previous sessions. But today, we are going to talk about diet. diet for the girl child. I want to believe that, Liam, thank you. I want to believe that a lot of parents with a girl child on the spectrum do not usually consider these girls to be capable of growing up someday, having their own families. Having their own families, I mean, giving birth to their own children. Have you considered that? As okay, even if you have considered that, have you considered it as much as you consider it for their neurotypical siblings? Let me just bring it home. Most parents of girls that are on the spectrum, they get so carried away trying to provide, trying to maintain, trying to, just get them comfortable. You are out there trying to even stop or manage their menstrual cycles. You are out there trying to find the right schools. You are out there trying to manage each and every behavior that turns up. A lot of us, when you ask them, say, I just want my child to be functional at some point. I just want my child to be independent at some point. But have we ever considered them as potential mothers? Has it ever occurred to us that at some point in their lives, they are going to start giving birth? And that is where my question of nutrition comes in. We know that for parents now, when it comes to childbearing age, even some governments have made it mandatory that when young people are sexually active, they are supposed to start, going on a certain type of nutrition. If not like a whole nutrition, they try to campaign that they should at least be taking their folate. This will go a very long way to prevent cleft palate in the children they are going to give birth to. There is also iron that's given at antenatal. You know, young girls mostly are usually prepared. They get them ready, even though it's not yet. Good evening. Oh, Muna's journey of parents. If you want to come in. Thank you. It's been such a long time. Thank you. It's been forever. Thank you. How are you too? It's been a long time. How is Muna? Oh dear. So we are saying that a lot of times you are so engrossed in providing for that child that you forget that someday that child is actually going to be a mother herself. And when that time comes, oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Um, so have you sat down even for once to consider how it's going to pan out that your child who is on the spectrum is going to be a parent someday? I know it's shocking. Like you might be sleeping and then it hits you. For me, it's enough to like wake me and keep me awake for like an hour plus. And you just be like, what's going to happen? How is it going to be? What is it going to be like? But after that, the next day, just one behavioral challenge will just make that one to go behind the scene, and you are fixated on, making them comfortable, providing them with the basic needs. has it really been a subject of immediate concern or a part of a daily plan preparing them to become mothers at some day, at some point? And don't forget, this conversation is not just about giving them the right nutrition, it's also about helping them to to source that nutrition themselves at some point in their lives. Are you teaching them, like, a lot of us wouldn't want to go to market with our children because we feel they are going to be a nuisance. A lot of us will feel like because they may throw tantrum in the market, we will not even go near the market with them. Have you thought about someday if this child would be able to pick out the foods they want to eat and at some point in their lives even be the ones cooking that food for themselves? These are not things that we usually, want to think about because number one is scary, number two is uncertain, number three, it's even risky sometimes, asking them to cut veggies and maybe cook food on fire and all of that. It might be all of these things that, like, I remember my daughter knows how to cut onions. But on one of the visits of a social worker, they felt that because she becomes a bit restless when she is, requiring something, that because she gets a bit restless, then it's not safe to have knife around her. No, I said no. It's not that kind of, she's not that kind of person. She cuts onions, she cuts potatoes for me when I'm cooking. She helps in the kitchen. It's not a risk. But believe me, even some parents make this one themselves. My own was like a risk assessment that was done by a social worker. But some parents do this by themselves. They don't even want to risk teaching the child. Anyway, I still want to believe that all of this is a matter of how far on the spectrum the child is. Some children are very low on the spectrum that they don't even have that concept of doing these things. But I've also come to the conclusion that a lot of us, they don't give all the credit. They don't give these children all the credit. Sometimes the things they can do, you don't push them enough to do them because of your own fear. And believe me, this can even happen in neurotypical children. I know mothers that say, oh my God, I can never, never allow my child to go to boarding school. I can't let my eye off my child. That's fine. But what I'm asking is that for these children that are on the spectrum, it is important that you at least push them because someday, someday, you might not just be there to do all of this. Talking about nutrition is true. I started with providing the nutrition in preparation for when they become mothers. I mean, preparing their body with the proper nutrition. We should not forget that the fact that they are like that, it might be, genetic, but it is also possible that with the proper nutrition, you are reducing the possibility of them having another child with developmental challenge. Food is like everything. You are what you eat. So says the adage. So as a parent to a child with neurological impairment, as you continue believing in that miracle, that one day this your child will be, at least independent. You are believing in the miracle that your girl child who's on the spectrum would one day be married. But you are not working with that miracle. You are not doing the work to join that miracle by faith. So it's like a story that was told that a community was praying for rainfall, and then they went for the day of the prayer, and there was only one boy that brought umbrella. It means they did not have faith that the rain will fall. Because if they had the faith that the rain will fall, all of them will come with umbrella. So my point here is, if you are believing in that miracle, that one day your child will become neurotypical, why are you not preparing them for that day? Why are you not teaching them how to provide themselves with the right food? Why are you not teaching them how to pick the right food from the market or the shelf? Yes, I know there are challenges where it's just an open market. As much as possible, if you have the opportunity to shop in a more, organized place, say malls and supermarkets, it would be nice to show these children. It would be nice to bring them to the kitchen. It would be nice to make them do what they can do. My son was learning how to cook in school, and he just made me realize there are ways you can help a child to handle a knife that will not hurt them. So assuming, okay, this is a cup. Assuming this is a potato, and this is a knife. I've come to realize that you can make a child to put that knife here and hold the potato like this and put the knife here and cut. So by cutting like this, you see this hand and this hand is far away from the knife. So you put it like this. You see what I mean? If the child is cutting like this, there's no way he can cut their fingers. The place that hurts is when you ask a child to hold the knife like this and be cutting. There is a tendency that that child is going to cut their finger. But when you are teaching a child to cook, you learn techniques that would prevent the child from hurting himself. And this I have learned, and I'm very happy that I learned it. It was my baby child that taught me, because someone came to school to teach them how to cook, and I'm wondering, how are they trying to protect them from hurting themselves while cooking? And the day I asked him to cut potato, this is what I learned. So this is potato. Instead of holding it like this to cut, you see, if you ask a child to cut potato like this, they may cut their finger in the process. But if you ask a child to cut potato, let them hold it like this. When they see how I'm holding this, see how I'm holding this. So the knife comes here. So the child is cutting and holding like this. By so doing, there's no way to cut the finger. So, my dear, going back to our topic, the girl child, the girl on the spectrum. Muna's mommy, we are not trying to exclude the boys, and I even know that Muna is not on the spectrum. But we are just saying, like what I said in the beginning, is that if you have a child on the spectrum, whether he's a boy or a girl, you have one or two things to learn. In fact, these days, cooking, nutrition, impact is not just on the boy. Hello, Nikki. It's not just on the girl, rather. We are teaching our children to be able to fend for themselves. And today we are talking about the nutrition aspect. So just like I said from the beginning, if you are a boy, if you are a girl, it shouldn't matter at this point, because everyone has something to learn. Right now, what we are talking about is something that would benefit everyone. So it's about teaching these children, working towards our faith. Our faith is that someday these children will be their own people. They will be independent. They will be, self-reliant. They will be able to cater for themselves. You are busy praying, which I do. I'm not criticizing it. You are busy supporting them with therapies, but how are you working towards getting them to be able to support themselves in terms of what they eat in their body? What and what have you taught them? If your child is 10, 15, 20, what food can they cook? Can they even put fire? Can they light the stove? Can they boil water? Can they make a bath? Can they boil pasta, for instance? Can they make the sauce? It's like a wake-up call to all of us. It's a wake-up call to all of us with children on the spectrum, because it's not easy sometimes, just trying to get them to do the basic things, let alone, getting them to walk towards. But believe me, these children are very smart. They know you as their parent, and they know how far you are willing to push them. A lot of them would want you to push them before they would. Of course, I think it's natural, even with every child. Children always try to, they always want to try their luck. But in this case, it takes them a while to grasp why you need them to do what they need to do. And that is why it's a bit more difficult to teach them sometimes. So at this point, we are saying, how far are you willing to push? Because they are pushing because it is their nature. But they also try to see how far you are willing to accept what they are doing. So in the case of the children learning to find their own footing in the kitchen, preparing their meal and getting to know what to eat and what not to eat, it's as the same thing. It's like every other thing you do with them. When you teach them to sweep the house, when you teach them to sort their clothes, when you teach them to even bathe, it takes, if you are teaching a neurotypical child for 2 minutes, you are going to teach these children for 5 hours. And many parents are not just willing to go that extra mile. And I'm still asking. Odinaka, thank you. Adebowale, you are highly welcome. So what we are saying is, as a parent, this hardly occurs to us. In our prayers, we are always like, God, please let my child speak. God, please let my child understand. God, please let my child, be smart and go to school like every other child. But what are you preparing? What is the work behind that, your faith? You believe, right? Perfect. The day that that child becomes that thing you want them to become, what skills have you put in them to be able to maintain themselves, to be able to support themselves? I know, believe me, I know these things are in various degrees. It can be from degree 1 to degree 0 to degree 1 million. We all have different levels of challenges. But I'm still saying, as much as your child can do, let them do it, support them to do it. It takes a whole lot of strength. It takes a whole lot of determination. It takes a whole lot of energy. And believe me, a lot of times here, those of us in the UK, we believe that our children are not being pushed enough. Because number one, it's not in their nature to push. Number two, it is the parents who are in that position to understand the complete implication of not pushing your child. If you are the type that has understood the implication of not pushing, there is a difference between pushing your child to be their best and maltreating your child because they are not being their best. But it's very difficult to draw the line, especially when the authority is involved. It is very, very difficult to draw the line, especially when the authority is involved and there is like a criticism around it. So what we are saying here is, how do we identify when we are trying to bring the best out of our children and when we are being mean to them, or when the people around us are thinking that we are being mean to them? It's very difficult, believe me. But as parents, as much as I want to believe that there are still people who can be mean to their children, most parents just want the best for their children. Most parents want the best for their children. So it goes back to what we have discussed about 2-3 weeks ago, where we are saying, why is it that sometimes simple things we do to help our children are misinterpreted as hurting them? A mother shared a story about how when her child started her cycle, she was, distraught because she didn't know what to do. But, beginning of period is usually not very regular. So she became concerned and went to the hospital. And the only thing that they saw there is the possibility of molestation. And you cannot sit down and imagine the traumatic experience that mother must have gone through. She's only looking for the best for her child. So it becomes a challenge that when we are trying to support these children, especially when they have limited speech. If they have limited speech, it becomes a bigger challenge because they can't even, explain to anyone what exactly happened. There was a day I came, they told me that my daughter said she's having pain in her lower abdomen. And I'm like, how on earth did she tell you that? They said they used a card and picture. I was very sure she didn't say that. But that was what they wanted to see. That was what they wanted to hear. So, especially when a child has limited speech, oh God help us. So you see what I mean? You have to prepare that child. If we are having this challenge at this stage, there was a research that I did, and it was saying how the feeding challenges in children with autism is a factor of who is supporting them. Imagine if your child is 18, 19, 20, 25, 30, and they have to be somewhere that they have to say they are hungry or indicate they are hungry before they are given food. And this child doesn't know how to do anything to give himself or her food. Now we are talking about those who can use their hands and their legs. It becomes, everything becomes at the mercy of the carer. So what are we saying? If your child has disability, at least to handle things, please try to teach them to select their food and, if possible, to prepare basic foods, prepare basic nutritious foods. Because at the end of the day, it is for their own good. It is for their own good in the interim to feed well. It is also for their own good at some point when and if they become parents, which is what we all pray for. Even though sometimes it looks like it's going to be an impossibility, but look, nothing is impossible in this world. So if you have faith, if you don't go home with anything from this discussion, go with the fact that if you have faith that your child will someday become independent, start teaching him everything as if he's already independent. Start teaching her everything as if she's already independent. Walk your faith. Do the things. Talk to them. Teach them. Do these things in their presence, because believe me, they learn more from what you do than what you say. Take them on shopping, take them on outing, show them, even if they don't seem to be hearing, say it, show it. If you are with your child in the kitchen, say, what is this? In fact, my daughter wows me every day because I will call a name of an ingredient and say, go and get it from the freezer. And she will go and pick it. Even local ingredients, things that I didn't know she would know. But because she's always there with me, she sees what I do, she does what I do. So now I will just say, if you are making something like sauce, I'll say, so what do we need? She'll go and get it. What is the next thing we have to add? She'll go and get it. So if worse comes to worse and she has to prepare her food, I'm very confident that she will do it. So please, prepare your children. If your child is still very young, it's even a bigger advantage. A lot of times when we have older ones, we couldn't have known everything. And because a lot of our children tend to throw tantrums that are very disruptive, we never really got to stamp our foot. We never really got to get them to do the right things when they were younger. But believe me, it's better to bear the cross when they were younger, break the bone. I don't mean break their body bone. I mean break, the will when they were younger than when they are older. If your child is still 4, 5, 6, 7, please stamp your foot today. If there is anything you want them to do and you know they can do it, I'm taking into consideration levels of disability here. If there is anything your child is at all capable of doing, don't sit on it. Don't let them slip away. Don't say, I don't have strength. Because believe me, if you do not have the strength now that they are younger, hey, what happens when you are 50 and they are 18? Can you imagine that? You are 50 and they are 18 or 20. It means you can't even hold their hand. They will break it. They will break your hand. So if there's any form of, a routine, training, things like the right food, the right way to do stuff, stamp your foot and do it now. I know it's not always funny because they are very strong. Some of them are stronger than stone. But there is this innate submission to authority that is in every child. And believe me, Just like neurotypical children, the way you train your child is the way he or she is going to turn out. If you are the type that say, oh, I don't have strength, just do whatever you like, it's going to turn out that way. If you are the type that says, look, I am your mother and what I say is what is done in this house, it's going to turn out that way. I know there are some of them whose, own presentation and disposition are such that they can hardly adhere to simple instructions. But believe me, to a large extent, if you start this thing early, it's going to stand. No matter how bad a child is, they always know their boundary. Like I said, they are very, very smart people. Very smart. Smarter than all of us that even think we know something. By the time your child whines you like this, by the time your child whines you like this, you'll be looking for yourself. You'll be like, let me be this. So, the truth today, the lesson today, the discussion today is how are you preparing them for when they become independent? Do they have do they have cooking skills at all? Do they have any skill that prepares them that they must not always be at the mercy of their provider, the mercy of their carer, especially when it comes to their nutrition? Do they know how to prepare basic dishes? If they can, if their level of spectrum is such that they can handle these things, are you making that effort? Believe me, I know it is difficult. It is difficult, it is painful, it is strenuous, it is heart-wrenching. But if you don't do it now, the difficulty will be 200 times more by the time they grow older. So as much as you can, as early as possible, put the child the way they should be, and when they grow up, they will not depart from it. It cannot be more true in these our children. When my daughter was much younger, I wear shorts. Like in the morning, I wear shorts and a singlet because I know that it is fight and fight. Not fight to hurt, don't get me wrong, but fight to lead. If you need her to pick a paper and put in the dustbin, you have to literally hold her hand, pick the paper, and like she will put her hand like this, and you have to hold it like this and grab the paper and dance and sing and jump and shout and scream to the dustbin. So today, sometimes people come around, oh, how is she that she's doing all these things? How is she? I won't bother because the work was enormous, but it was worth it. It was enormous, but it was worth it. So, dear, when it comes to raising a child on the spectrum and their nutrition, it is one thing to know what to offer, but it is another thing to offer them now. But it is another thing to prepare them to be able to offer it to themselves when the time comes that they are alone and that they are, you know, that they are independent or living on their own. How prepared are they not to rely only on the carer to be able to eat good food? It will be a good gift, even for the neurotypical children. Even for a neurotypical child, it will be a very good gift that your child can fend for themselves in terms of their nutrition when they are in that position. I remember when in the university, a lot of people really go hungry because they can't prepare their own food. They can't cook. Even though the university had opportunity to to cook, a lot of people couldn't cook because they were not prepared. They didn't know how to cook. They were not taught. They don't even know what to add to the pot to come out as something that can be eaten. So believe me, if you are doing this for your child, it's every single struggle, every single, you know, energy you put in it is totally, totally worth it. If you are looking at being able to, well, I know some people may say, oh, I will just get them a cook. Oh, I will just make them whatever. But believe me, research has shown that children or people with disability that rely only on their carers to offer them food always have challenges with their nutritional status. It's not always the best. A child should be able to stand up and pick things and fix things and, combine two or three things and eat without waiting for someone to get them done or ask them when they want to eat, how they want it. You will be doing your child a lot of good if at 17, 18, 20, 22, they are able to stand up and fix something and eat without waiting for someone to do it. Assuming at some age they are able to stay home alone and you have to go to work or you have to go to maybe a conference that you come back late in the evening and they can't eat anything until you are home. Or you will warm it and put in a flask or it shouldn't be so. As long as that child can use their legs and they can use their hands, please start today. It's never late. And it's not like you start today and say, look at how old you are. You can't cut onions. You did not start teaching them. You haven't taught them. First of all, start by making them available in the kitchen when you are cooking. Just invite them. Let them just stand around, be anywhere within eyesight. Let them just watch. Even if they are not watching intentionally in the first days, let them just be in the vicinity. And you graduate by saying, oh, pick that one for me. They will know that this one is onions. They will know that this one is ginger. They will know that this one is carrot. And they will see how you are combining them. And by doing that, you will also be talking. You see, when I put this one, I wait until this one is boiling before I put this one. And that way they will be understanding. Look, they understand. They are teachable. They can learn. So as you are preparing that one day they will be their own masters, how are they going to sustain themselves in that their neurotypical state? That day they become themselves, how do you want them to sustain themselves? Or is it that after all the fight, they come and become their own man and their own woman, they will now go hungry or get starved or become malnourished just because you didn't prepare them for this day? Like I said, walk the faith. The faith is that they will become independent someday. So prepare them. Prepare them to be able to nourish themselves in that independence. Thank you, AI. AI says the summary is sharing tips on teaching independence for children with autism. That's what we are talking about. Teaching independence. Independence, but especially in terms of nutrition. How do they choose what they choose? Why do they choose what they choose? If they choose, how do they prepare them? Hmm? How do they get it to their table? How do they make, beautiful, nutritious, tasty meals out of them? How do they nourish their body and nourish their brains? How do they prepare their body to bring forth other children? How prepared are their body to carry healthy children? It's not out of order. It's not out of order to wish that someday you will go for Mugo in your daughter's house, your daughter who's on the autism spectrum. It's your dream, right? So if you know how you prepare a neurotypical child for that period of their lives, please don't leave the child on the spectrum left out. In fact, they even do better when you pretend that there's nothing wrong with them. Make them believe that you can do it. Go and do it. You challenge them. So, parents, carers, aunties, grandmas, because sometimes it's grandmas that are very, very skeptical about, uh, agreeing that their children can do these things. Sometimes it's direct mothers, sometimes it's grandmas. But the truth is that we need to push, we need to give them more credit. We need to believe that they are much more than we think they are. I have seen it a lot of times. I have seen it a whole lot of times. Where the children confirm that they are much more than you are giving them credit. They know more, especially when they want to when they want to whine you, they know much more than you think they know. They are very crafty, very smart. So harness that smartness, harness it and put it to use. Let them know that you know what they are trying to do, because they will do everything to resist. Make them understand, look, I know what you're doing, and I am not going to give in until you do this that I need you to do. Look them in the eye and make them understand. If they want to make you wait, both of you will wait. If it means sitting down on the floor, both of you will sit down on the floor. Now them go tire first. So if you are in that boat, believe me, it gets better. It gets better when you are, determined to make it better. It's not always easy. It's not always simple. It doesn't always mean you will win. You will win sometimes, you will lose sometimes. But it is done, it is doable, it is feasible. You can get the best out of them. You can really, really get the best out of them if you put your foot down. Like I said, the challenge sometimes is that we are not willing to go that extra mile. We are too afraid of what might happen. We are too afraid of the uncertainties. And for some people in some clan, you are also afraid of the authority. But look, at the end of the day, you have to be very, very conscious of that thin line between abuse and love. There is a very tiny, almost invisible line. And sometimes people might mistake one for the other, even in good faith. In good faith, people will mistake one for the other. We just pray that we do not get ourselves entangled in any form of controversy around, getting our children to be their best. We might mean well sometimes, but we are going too far. We might be going too far sometimes, but we think all is well. As parents, we continue to pray. We really, really have to pray so we don't get ourselves entangled in the wrong impressions, in the wrong activities that give the wrong impressions. Thank you so much for dropping by. It's almost an hour. And hoping that we were able to get some of the things today. We tried to look at preparing our children for independence. If you are looking forward to a day when they are mentally, physically, economically independent, are you also considering offering them nutritional independence? Nutritional independence in the sense that they know what to eat, they know when to eat, they know how to prepare them and eat them. Because it can really, really be risky if at some age they totally depend on their carer to offer them food. They totally depend on their carer to know what to give them. I am talking about those who can handle it. I'm talking about the level of spectrum that can still comprehend and carry out these activities. I'm not talking about those who have like the physical, extreme physical kind of disability. No, I'm talking about those on the spectrum that can still handle utensils, any child that can handle utensils should be able to eat, to make food. I can't believe that this is asking if I'm active. Anyway, doing his job. So thank you. It's been an hour of me pouring myself. If you do have any question, you can chat me in any of my accounts. If you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Zoom, give us a shout. This is Building Bridges. Building Bridges is a hub, a platform where parents come together to just share their experiences and be able to learn from one another. It's been a wonderful 1 hour with you, and we look forward to receiving your questions. Thank you so much for dropping by. Hibiscus, I like your name. Bilal Sultani, Angelo Guezi. No, no. Thank you so very much. It's been a wonderful evening. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.